Every day, somewhere in the world, a species moves one step closer to dying out.
Having over 49,000 listeners threatened tells us that the planet is not in a good state.
Coming up, the people standing between wildlife and extinction.
We make sure that nobody comes in and kill this rhino, and if people has to get away free with it, that is making our job difficult.
Then the son of a ranger who never came home.
He froze and told me that that job is too dangerous.
And the remarkable story behind a film.
My heart grows heavy.
That's bringing the realities of rhino conservation to the big screen.
It's now 4 years since he was murdered, and unfortunately, nobody's been arrested at all.
It's a story about courage and a job that sometimes demands everything. Just 2 degrees is on. Now.
I almost get a little emotional thinking about it.
This is Diana, a baby ring-tailed lemur. After zookeepers found her repeatedly left alone by her mother, she was placed in round-the-clock care. She's fed every 2 hours, kept warm in an incubator, and has a soft toy for comfort. At just 88 grams, less than the weight of a chocolate bar, she's become one very special patient. But Diana's story also reminds us that for many wild animals, there isn't a team of veterinarians waiting to help. Around the world, countless species are disappearing from the wild. They are pushed closer to extinction by habitat loss, by poaching, the illegal wildlife trade, and of course, the climate crisis. More than 47,000 species are now listed by the International Union for Conservation of Nature as threatened with extinction. Many will never make the headlines, but each one leaves a gap in the ecosystems we all depend on. Take the Javan rhinoceros. Fewer than 80 remain, all confined to a single national park in Indonesia. As one of the forest's largest herbivores, the rhinos help shape vegetation and disperse seeds, creating space for countless other species to thrive. Then there's the Amur leopard. Once reduced to around 30 animals in the wild, conservation efforts have helped the Amur leopard recover to just over 120 today. Even so, still the world's rarest big cat, surviving only in the forests along Russia's border with northeastern China.
Donc la population en parc zoologique a vraiment un rôle prépondérant et majeur pour cette espèce au niveau global, puisque la population est bien plus importante que celle qui est présente dans la nature.
But it's not only large mammals fighting for survival. The axolotl, an amphibian found naturally in the canals of Mexico City, is now considered critically endangered.
Esse animal, infelizmente, ganhou fama mundial por conta de alguns jogos, então eles são realmente um fenômeno no público infantil, o que fez com que a procura pro comércio ilegal desses animais aumentasse.
Demand for exotic pets is now one of the species' biggest threats. Scientists estimate fewer than 1,000 remain in the wild. Then there are pangolins, the world's most trafficked mammals. Across Asia and Africa, all 8 species are now threatened with extinction, driven largely by illegal hunting and wildlife trafficking. Yet a single pangolin can help keep ant and termite populations under control, protecting both forests and nearby farmland. And then there's Diana's own species, the ring-tailed lemur. They're found only in Madagascar, where the species is listed as endangered. By dispersing seeds to the forest they call home, they help new trees take root. But habitat destruction and illegal wildlife trafficking continue to drive their numbers down. Scientists say extinction isn't simply about losing animals. Every species plays a role. Rhinos reshape forests, pangolins control insects, lemurs plant tomorrow's trees. And when those roles disappear, ecosystems become less resilient, water quality can decline, and even the risk of disease outbreaks may increase.
I believe the most recent IUCN figure is 49,505 threatened species on the planet, and this includes animals, plants, and fungi. That sounds like a huge number to me, considering I don't think most people can name, say, 100 species. What does more than 49,000 threatened species say about the state of life on Earth?
The IUCN Red List is really a very important tool because it's a way of measuring how biodiversity is doing across the world. What is the state of species on our planet? And having over 49,000 listed as threatened tells us that the planet is not in a good state, that species are at risk of going extinct, and that extinction rate is a lot higher than the normal background rate that one would expect under normal circumstances. And it is all due to human activities that are driving species towards extinction much faster than it should happen.
You know, I'm glad you brought up human activity. When you look across all those threatened species, do you see a common thread? Do you see one dominant threat, specifically when it comes to human activity?
So for each threatened species on the red list, we document what is driving the species towards extinction. And we're looking very much at human-caused threats to species, but there can also be natural events like storms and hurricanes and so on that do drive species towards extinction. So we do look at those as well. But overwhelmingly, it is the human-caused threats that are the problem. And the overwhelming one on the red list is affecting most of the species, is loss of habitat because of expanding agriculture, expanding urban areas. Just the human footprint on the planet is enormous. And so the loss of habitat and the shrinking of habitats and reducing the quality of habitats is really having a major impact. But there are lots of other threats as well. So overutilization of species, human consumption of species for food, for medicine, and so on, that's driving species towards extinction. Logging of forests for timber, that's driving species towards extinction. Climate change is also having an impact. It's exacerbating the existing threats to species by drying out environments, drying out the habitats, as we're seeing currently in the Northern Hemisphere, and increasing fire frequency and intensity, as we've seen in the last few weeks across many parts of Europe.
On this episode, we've been marking World Ranger Day. In your view, how important are wildlife rangers in determining whether a species survives or disappears?
Yes, so World Ranger Day is really an important aspect of IUCN's work. So IUCN, working with its World Commission on Protected Areas, honors the efforts of rangers across the world. We have an annual award ceremony where we recognize what rangers or groups of rangers are doing. And we are launching a new campaign to drive more attention to rangers and the incredible role that they play, to generate more awareness of the role that they play, and to get greater commitment to the rangers and the ranger community as a whole. And we've been talking about the threatened species on the red list. So those species that are listed as threatened really depend on effectively managed conserved protected areas. And it's the rangers that look after those areas. So without the rangers, we would have a lot more threatened species. So the day-to-day conservation work that happens in many of these protected and conserved areas around the world is done by the ranger community. So they are actively working on the ground to try and stop these species from going extinct. They're also gathering new data. They're counting how many plants, animals, whatever the different species are that still occur in these different areas. And they're working with local communities as well to ensure sustainable use of the species and to reduce human-wildlife conflict issues as well. So they really play a vital role in the daily conservation of the species and monitoring. And that data then gets fed back into the assessment process. And so, for example, with the numbat, the protected areas where it occurs in Western Australia, there are rangers in those reserves who are gathering the data, feed back the data, and could say to us, yes, the numbat is starting to recover now. So that ranger community is really vital in terms of implementing conservation activities and feeding data back to us to help us with the reassessments.
Meanwhile, World Ranger Day is recognized every July 31st, honoring the people who dedicate their lives to protecting our planet's wildlife and wild spaces. It's also a day to remember those who've been injured or worse in the line of duty. This year's theme is Rangers, Guardians of a Changing Planet, which reflects the growing challenges they face, from the climate crisis and wildlife crime to human-wildlife conflict.
And among those leading the fight is an extraordinary group from South Africa known as the Black Mambas. They're the first all-female, unarmed, anti-poaching unit. I called up the team to find out how the fight is going and whether their approach is helping to keep wildlife safe.
Firstly, I understand one of the rhinos in the greater Kruger landscape that survived the poaching attack years ago has since given birth to a healthy calf. What does that mean for everyone working to protect these beings?
Okay, so having a lot of new calves all over the Kruger National Park or all over Africa, it feels like we've just made it. We have reached our goals, because looking at them running around, the aim is to put our boots in the ground and make sure that we protect these iconic animals. And every day when we go out on our patrol and we see these little ones running around, enjoying being wild and enjoying not having to be scared of poachers coming to shoot at them. And that's because the Black Mambas are here as the frontliners. They are patrolling and making sure that they are safe. It is so amazing. We have lost a lot of rhinos that we were waiting for this time where we can have so many calves and make sure that we protect them, that they grow and doesn't get to be poached for the next generation to see them.
On this episode, we're hearing some pretty amazing things about rangers like yourself. But for people who may not have never met a wildlife ranger, what does this day mean to you and your team?
So World Ranger Day to us, it's about honor and dedication for all the rangers all over the world who are putting their life in the line, making sure that they leave their family, stay 21 days in the reserve, protecting the iconic animals, protecting the community, because most of the rangers, we are focusing on protecting the communities that is very close to the game reserve, the communities where we come from. So the World Rangers Day it's a special day to all of us, because so many of us are doing this without being recognized or without aiming to be recognized by anyone. But when this day arrives, we feel like, oh, we are seen. Somebody is seeing our story. Somebody is seeing what we are doing. So we're not going through this alone. The whole world is looking at us. The whole eyes and ears all over the world supporting the job that we are doing, because being a ranger is very much difficult. And on this day, we remember the legends, the heroes that we have lost in the line of duty.
So South Africa, I understand, allows a regulated domestic trade in rhino horns, while international commercial trade is still illegal. Recently, though, the alleged fraudulent rhino horn permit case involving John Hume has, I guess, reignited debate over whether legal domestic trade can be exploited by criminal enterprises. Does a case like this make your work more difficult?
It does make our job difficult, because we are in the middle of the poachers and the animals. The animals that we are protecting, they're not aware that we are there to protect them. And then there are poachers that want to kill them. And if people can just come and kill the rhinos as much as they want, it's really a huge problem. It puts our life in risk. It's a threat to us. And we are out here working while it's very much hot, patrolling so many kilometers, making sure that we do roadblocks, we make sure that nobody comes in and kill this rhino. And if people has to get away free with it, that is making our job difficult. We have families, and we are sure that we protect the iconic animals without our families. And then someone comes in and get to do this illegal poaching. So we, it is so amazing, or we love it when we see that there are so many people that are being sentenced for poaching. Cases like that are being taken seriously. That shows that there is a support, because there is a lot of challenges that the rangers are coming across in the bush, and then we wouldn't appreciate it if someone is to get away with such crime.
It's not nice to be a field ranger. You need someone who has a passion of being field ranger. It's not something that you become a field ranger overnight. It's something that has to do with a call from God that you must save the wildlife.
At least 147 rangers from 40 countries have lost their lives protecting nature in the past year, according to the International Ranger Federation. Homicide was the leading cause, claiming 43 of those lives, while the Federation says the true toll is likely much higher. One of those rangers was Anton Mzimba. I called his son Jafet about the father he lost and why the fight to protect wildlife continues.
You were quoted as saying that you knew your father as the man who came home, the one who would take you into the bush and teach you. You also told your dad you wanted to be just like him. Do you still want to be a ranger?
Yes, definitely I want to be a field ranger. My father move inspired me a lot each and every day. That gives me confidence to keep going, that I'm going to make it.
Do you think it's something you'll always want to do?
That make me happy, because I told my father when we were in the bush that I want to be like him. And I want to keep that promise I made to him that I will do it. That's why he said that maybe you are the one who will follow my steps.
So what did your dad say when you told him that you wanted to be a ranger just like him?
He froze and told me that that job is too dangerous. Yes, and I know that is too dangerous.
I have had an amazing career. My team and I have worked hard to ensure that our wildlife survives. But one day, not so long from now, I will hang up my boots. And as I get closer to that day, my heart grows heavy.
What's currently happening now is a systematic deletion of rhino.
Rhino horns are literally feeding a global crime monster out there.
Greed is what drives these guys.
Hook the magazine in!
If that poacher turns that weapon on him,
Hook your magazine in!
the field ranger has to make a life or death decision in a single split second.
Before Anton died, I understand he was quoted as saying that saving the rhino for me is like saving myself, saving my life, saving the life of my children and their children. What do you think he meant by that?
Yeah, I think Anton really saw that what his work wasn't just protecting the rhinos in that reserve for tourists coming there. He really saw it as something that was protecting this for the whole planet. And, he used that line that you mentioned, his children and his children's children. And I think first and foremost, it's, protecting this wildlife for his family and the generations to come and his community. But he really did see it as the bigger connection to the whole world and what he was doing as a ranger, what other rangers were doing. And it was a big part of why he collaborated with us so much on the filmmaking, was because, especially at that time, he felt that no one really knew what rangers were up to and wanted to get that word out.
So, what currently is the status of the Justice for Anton campaign? Has anyone been made accountable for his death?
Yeah, it's been a long journey. It's now 4 years since he was murdered, July 26, 2022. And unfortunately, no, nobody's been arrested at all in this campaign. But a lot of progress has been made on the investigative side. You know, it's a tough challenge because resources are slim in South Africa for these types of investigations, and unfortunately, there's a lot of investigative work to be done on other cases as well. And so we've really focused on trying to elevate the importance of this case because for Anton, I mean, he wasn't just an incredible human. Every human life is valuable, but I think he was such an iconic figure in the Kruger area as a ranger, and so many other rangers and conservationists looked up to him. And I just keep going back to the idea that if someone like him can be killed and there's no consequences for the killers, then what do you expect the next generation of rangers going out there in the field to feel or to do when they get these threats that are coming at them, knowing that maybe the system isn't going to support them and there's no one to back them up to arrest these criminals or to help them, you know, make arrests themselves when it's a crime on the reserves. So fortunately, there's a really great team that has come together over the last couple of years on the Hawk side, the investigators in South Africa, as well as some partners with Focus Conservation, a US NGO that's supporting the investigators with resources. And we're kind of taking more steps now to bring in additional resources to take a lot of the progress that's been made and hopefully finally have enough of a case to actually arrest and prosecute these killers.
John, I always wonder whether Anton's death had ripple effects, like where the dangers of this line of work now scare others from wanting to protect wildlife as well.
I think it definitely has had ripple effects, and possibly it's just the great fortune that we happened to capture Anton's life leading up to this moment. But so many people have seen his story and have been able to see his character through a lot of the images that we were able to capture. And I think because of that, although it's tragic and we're still waiting for justice, a lot of people have seen him as an inspiration and someone that brings out the desire to step up and take part in this fight. A lot of rangers that are going through training in South Africa have been able to watch the film and learn more about Anton over the years, and it's been really inspiring.
So we have investigated, but the only thing we found here is just kayaks that have been broken by elephants, and that area that the elephants were based last night is the same area of that possible gunshot reported by Mr. Beretta.
You know, to kind of contrast with what a lot of these crime syndicates and the killers in Anton's case in particular were trying to achieve, which is, you know, push back against the forces of good and the Rangers and what they're doing. I think it's had the opposite effect and brought people together. So yeah, I think we're moving in the right direction on that front, but you know, this isn't just a South Africa problem either. This is a lot of Rangers around the world are facing these types of threats. And we really want to make a point with Anton that this has to stop and that governments and police have to step up, and we can't take this type of killing lightly.
If Anton, John, were alive today, do you think he'd be proud or ashamed of the current state of wildlife conservation?
I think Anton would be proud of a lot of the people that have stepped up in his loss, especially his team. I mean, I almost get a little emotional thinking about it. His second in command, Orlat and Lovu, who is a cousin of Anton's, and also they were just super close friends and worked together every day out on the reserve. But looking at Orlat, looking at the current team at the Timbavati, knowing a lot of the men and women that are coming up through conservation in that Kruger area, there's so much passion and dedication to protecting this wildlife, so much love for nature and wildlife. And not only the desire to stand there and protect it and stand up against criminals, but also just like that passion to share the joy and the love of nature and bring kids into reserves and get them connected, because ultimately if people don't have those types of experiences, they're not going to care and want to protect. So yeah, I think Anton looking down would be super proud of his team, kind of the greater Kruger area, and especially his family. His son currently is stepping up and starting to train in conservation and is hoping to follow in his footsteps. So it's really, really powerful to see. I mean, there's always work to be done, and I'm sure he would want to see more happen. But yeah, I think he would be inspired. He was always a hopeful guy, just a loving, hopeful, dedicated man.
And that's our show. Until next time, bye.